Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm ZS Caraval from ZK Research, and I'm here at St. Mary's Stadium, home of the Southampton Saints. Yeah, I'm with Liz Miller. Liz, why are we here? This is a pretty cool venue.
This is a pretty fantastic venue, but we are here because the communications partner for St. Mary's Stadium and for the Southampton Saints is none other than 8x8.
Yeah, so we're about to start day 2. So day 1 was yesterday. We had a lot of the announcements. Any initial impressions from the event?
My first reaction was focus.
Focus.
I think for the last 2 years when we've been at these analyst summits, it's been a lot about rebuilding, reshaping, kind of getting 8x8 back onto a track that its customers have really defined and wanted. This year has really been about focus and moving those customers forward in a very intentional manner. Practical, pragmatic AI.
Yeah.
I think was one of the best messages that I heard yesterday.
Yeah, what I really appreciate actually was their CEO, Sam Wilson's, his just frankness and honesty about where the business is now.
Yes.
You know, he talked a little bit of the Fuze acquisition and how a little bumpy along the way.
Lessons learned.
Right? You know, Brian Day, the former CEO at Fuze, did nobody any favors.
Yeah, that was like the understatement, I think, of yesterday.
But it looks like they're through that.
Yes.
They've got the product built now, and now it seems like it's execution time. One of the things I really like, though, is when in the Q&A with the customers, when they asked why'd you do business with 8x8, they didn't say, well, they have the best stack or they have this feature, that feature. They all talked about customer intimacy. And for 8x8, who's a relatively small company in a market filled with much bigger vendors and lots of them, it's probably, you know, it's going to be hard for them to outmarket them, but they can certainly out customer intimacy them.
I think that's such a great point.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that we heard over and over again from customers was 8x8, instead of sitting down and pitching to me, instead of sitting down and selling a lot of product to me and telling me all the things I needed, wanted to know what my business was like, what were my problems, what were the things I was trying to solve, and got to know my business. And I think that in a world, especially in software right now, where the message feels like AI can solve everything. Yeah. Here's a silver bullet. Isn't this amazing? If you only bought these 19 other things. It's like the ultimate Ginsu knife set, right? Remember those?
Yeah, I remember the Ginsu knife. Yeah.
So, you know, I think
I cut my fair share of belts and sneakers.
in that world, to have someone sit down and be like, no, tell me about where you want to be and what's stopping you from getting there, is that breath of fresh air, especially for the mid-market. Yeah. I think a lot of people sell to the enterprise that way because they want that big sexy logo.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard for a lot of organizations to stop for that moment and sell that way to the mid-market. And 8x8 understands its customers, and it understands its ideal customer.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, they talked a lot about ICP, right?
Yeah.
Ideal customer profile.
Huge conversation.
And in fact, we do a lot of analyst events together, and I don't remember that concept coming up in any other one. And so they really aren't trying to be all things to all people.
Right.
They're trying to be the right partner to the customers that need them. Now, with that being said, they did have a couple of 4 product announcements.
Yeah, Journey IQ I thought was super interesting, being able to understand where the customer is and most importantly, where you as an organization would like the ideal outcome for a customer to be, and where can you insert those opportunities of self-service, moments of kind of exploration and wonder, so to speak, which I thought was really important. So I liked the Journey IQ edition.
I liked the bot orchestrator. I thought that was pretty cool.
The bot orchestrator, they're calling it AI Orchestrator. I'm just going to say, they're calling it AI Orchestrator, but just for everyone listening at home, for everyone who follows this man, understand, it is a bot orchestrator. Yeah. It is definitely a conversation orchestrator, which I think is important.
My concern about bots, though, is that I've been thinking about this for a while, is when every app vendor's making their own bot. And so it's not hard to imagine a work environment in the future where I've got 50 apps and 50 bots talking to me, and then who ends up being the orchestrator? Well, the person, right? And if the human's the integration point, things tend to fail.
Yes.
And so in this case, they're not trying to be the one bot or AI engine to rule them all.
Right.
They're simply trying to allow these things to communicate better with each other, thereby removing a lot of the heavy lifting. And in fact, one of the things Sam said in his presentation to us was the software industry historically has been built on vendor simplicity, customer complexity, which is where the bots are lit, right?
Yes.
And he's trying to flip it around, vendor complexity, customer simplicity.
The other thing that I really liked that he said yesterday was that you can't build your company on features.
That's, yes.
Right, which I thought was terrific because I think so many organizations, right, we're chasing these features and we're chasing these rollouts. And I think AI Orchestrator is a great example. I mean, Google, just go to Google, type in AI Orchestrator. You're gonna have like 90 press releases pop up, and everyone's trying to do it. You've got Boomi looking to orchestrate where all of these AI functions are going. You've got, Zendesk recently just came out with, but I think here with 8x8, what you have is an understanding that conversations flow in a way that brings in a lot of different resources that used to be people. You used to have to transfer everything to Sam in finance and Betty in procurement. Now you've got a bot that's doing that. So how do you orchestrate that conversation so that the customer never has to end up in that moment of rage screaming, which I think is what we were talking about so often, of like, how do we stop that from happening, but with bots? I think to your point, which is an exceptional one, is how do we then start to wonder how we manage these bots? Because how do we give a bot a pip? Right? Like how do we realize it's not actually meeting the need that our customer needs it to meet, that our business needs it to meet? So I think we're going to start. I think we're going to start seeing some more conversations around that. It would not surprise me if 8x8 starts to lead that conversation, especially when it comes to communications writ large. I thought a great point that was made several times yesterday was this whole CAS alphabet soup. Like I'm new to the swimming and the acronyms in
CPAS,
this.
UCAS,
UCAS.
Yeah. It's all one big pain in the ass.
It's all, yes, it totally is. But I think what is happening now is that people are starting to look at what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to accomplish with communications and through communications? And that is leading to a whole new dynamic where humans and AI and these bots are having to intersect.
Well, that was an interesting part of their sales motion, right? And so everyone talks about selling outcomes, and typically that means I'm just going to bundle a bunch of products together. But they actually had a number of predetermined outcomes.
Yes.
Sales motions, for things
Loved
like that.
that.
Yeah, and
Loved that.
And so while they're still selling you the products on the back end, they're leading with the outcomes that are actually real outcomes.
Yeah, and I will also say the really smart way that they have laid that out is they have outcomes. They have what it can be called, so customers can kind of have that language that feels familiar. I need something for orders. I need something for field. I need something for assessment.
Yeah, booking reservations.
Exactly. And then they have the products that bundle together to make that a reality. Yeah. And I think that's a great way, not so much for the customers, I think it's great for sales.
Yeah.
And the reality is in this market right now, sales is getting yanked all over the place, right? And you have to put this in, and here's a new SKU, and this is for CX, and this is for EX, and we've got all these things. But imagine being a seller, being able to come in and saying, here's your outcome, this is what we're going to call it, and here's how you start and the order in which you start it. Yeah. And I think that was a really big thing.
Shout out to Lisa Martin, who is their Chief Revenue Officer, who has turned over much of the sales team, which is good because
she has had a huge job ahead of her. But I think that the thing that I love most about watching how Lisa has been able to come in and change the sales team is knowing that she's been empowered at the top. That Sam gave her that room to say, what do we need as an organization to keep a growth motion going? You go do it, right? It wasn't a go do it my way. It was you go do it. And I think that all of that gets summed up in something Sam said yesterday, which is we're on offense.
Yes. And that's good to see.
Dang.
In fact, they have one secret announcement coming we can't talk about yet. But
I
think that is going to show that they're on offense.
You know what?
Yep.
It is. I think that 8x8 last year confused a lot of people when they were like, listen, we're not going to go build that.
Yeah.
We're going to go partner with the best of the best. And right now, the best of the best is Microsoft. So we're going to go power. And when Microsoft came out with the UCAS, what was the press release that Sam sent out? Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the market. We can't wait to have more competition. This is great.
So I don't know when the secret announcement's going to go out, but I think it's going to have.
Watch for it. Y'all are going to know what it is. You're going to know what it is. You're going to be like, oh, this is what they were talking about. It's going to be great.
All right. So on that note, positive experience here.
Really great experience.
The only downside was, I don't know if you saw we didn't stay for the end of the game last night.
Tie.
But
Tie.
Scored on in the 93rd minute, I think, something like that.
But you know what? Here's the thing. If there was no more perfect place for us to experience this new chapter of 8x8 than on this pitch. This is a team that has been through it. This is a club that has been through it historically, but they have got an amazing, amazing shiny future. They've got an under 18 team that is absolutely slaying at the moment. An under 21 that apparently just can't be stopped.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing on the field today is such a rebuilding motion that this whole community and this whole city really deserves. And I think it really underscores what's happening with 8x8, a company that kind of went through it.
Yeah.
They made some missteps. They had some struggles, but they brought in a new chief and they brought in a new GM, so to speak. They recast their team, and now they're really going to set themselves up for a really bright future.
Yeah. So until next year, and who knows what customer
Where do
we'll
you
be at.
think we'll be?
Yeah, I'm hoping the Mercedes dealer.
There's a Mercedes dealer that we could be at. I'm fairly certain there's like a cruise line that they also work with. I'm just saying.
I don't want the power plant though.
No, we're not going
No
to the power
offense,
plant.
yeah.
But Ireland would be lovely.
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn down a trip to Ireland. I'm going to say yes to that. But
All right.
yeah.
So Liz and I now are going to run around in the field and see how long we can do it before security comes and gets us.
Pretty sure it's going to be fast. I don't run really
probably.
fast.
Okay. So, well, you only have to run as fast as me. So
That's
yeah.
true. Oh, that's true. I only got to beat this guy.
Yeah. So, anyways, on behalf of Liz Miller from Constellation Research, from the 8x8 Analyst Summit, I'm ZS Caravallo from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next time on the next episode of ZKast. Thanks, Liz.
Absolutely.
Thanks.